Welcome to Active Reload, episode 59.
Yeah.
Did you like that?
No.
That was harmonized. You can't harmonize. Yeah, you can't harmonize with one
The air
person.
conditioner?
Welcome to Active Reload. It's episode 59. We're one away from the big 6-0.
Yes.
We're going to be able to get Social Security. We're going to be able to get, what else do you get?
At 60?
AARP. Something like that. You'll start getting the mailers. We're excited. It's going to be awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And this week, actually kind of a disappointing week, to be honest with you, for a couple different things. Concord's out. If you didn't know, like most of planet Earth, Concord's out. Also, Star Wars Outlaws is out. I don't know if it's out worldwide yet or if it's just been review codes. I don't know exactly, but it's pretty close. It's coming up on it. We've seen a decent amount. I think we both have kind of varying ideas of what it looks like, what to expect. And we're going to talk some Starfield because it's been 1 year since, which is crazy to me. 1 year since the release of Starfield, and then
we're going to talk about Bethesda a little bit.
We'll talk about whatever we want.
Yep.
Welcome to the show, ladies and gentlemen. Do you like beans on toast?
You talking about like a British?
And yeah, I talked about this on my sports podcast, which I won't promote here because we don't do that. Actually, you know what? Cross-promote. Weekend Sports Rap Podcast. I go on a little tangent about some English breakfast.
Yeah. I listened to it, and I've been on it a couple times.
Oh, you did? Yeah, you have. You've been. Oh, yeah, I can cross-promote because you've been on it.
Yeah.
English breakfast.
Yep. Let's go.
Debauchery.
Beans on toast? You know what? What kind of beans are they? Are they like...
I actually don't know exactly what they are.
Candy beans?
I think so. They're not like barbecue beans, which would be the best.
They're like baked beans.
I think so.
Barbecue beans and candy beans, I think, are the same.
Yeah.
But just sweet with like brown sugar beans.
Right. One's with barbecue sauce, and it's delicious.
Yeah,
and the other, and it makes you fart.
That's what they say.
It's true for me. It works for me.
I don't do that.
They also roast tomatoes, which is like a whole little baby tomato in the morning roasted. That's a lot.
Oh, that's good.
No, that's a lot. I said in the pod, I said, if we showed an English person an all-American breakfast from like Denny's, which is the eggs, bacon, sausage, hash browns, toast, they would switch over immediately because it's so much better.
They had it in front of them?
Yes.
Which one to choose?
Which one would they pick? Well, they would probably pick English breakfast, but I'm telling, if they ate both of them, 100% all-American, okay? It's better. We've done breakfast better.
That test would be better if someone who wasn't American wasn't.
That's true. That's English. A good point. That's a good point, actually.
Right. And then, of course, they'd choose the American one.
Right, the All-American, because it's so much better.
You're talking about the All-American Grand Slam from Denny's? Yes,
Grand Slam, you can do the... But that's the thing. Each like breakfast joint has their own version of it.
Yeah.
Like Waffle House has an All-American... I don't think it's Grand Slam. I think that's Denny's specific.
It just has to be pancakes or waffles with bacon, eggs, and...
Toast, yeah. That's what I said on the pod. I said the three biggies are the bacon and the eggs and the toast.
Yeah.
You can usually swap out like the sausage and the hash browns for like potatoes or something like that.
Sausage, hash browns, or waffles.
Anything else. It's, oh, man. I want an all-American breakfast.
Me too.
You know where you can have an all-American breakfast? Star Wars Outlaws. Or no, Starfield. Yes. You can have an all-American breakfast on Starfield. That's not where we're going first, though.
You talking about... Is there food?
Yeah, you can eat like breakfast joints, I think.
I know. I think I went into a cafeteria. We'll talk about it later, but I'm not a fan of that game at all.
That's crazy. But that's where you're wrong.
I am a fan of Bethesda, big time.
I'm a huge fan of Bethesda. But first, let's talk about a game that nobody is gonna remember.
Oh,
shout out Concord. It's funny because we were talking about this exact scenario a couple weeks ago, maybe a week ago, when Overwatch first released. And right next to it, Gearbox released a little game called Battleborn. That was essentially the same idea, just not, with Blizzard behind it, which kind of makes a big difference.
Well, you know what's funny is that Battleborn has a spiritual successor. You know what that's called?
Borderlands.
No.
Oh.
It was released recently.
What's it called?
Can't remember.
Okay. Hey,
but
good piece of
mentioned it. He's like, "Hey, you want to play this?" I forgot what it's called. But it's basically
a spiritual successor.
Yeah.
Made by Gearbox?
I don't think so.
Oh, It can't be a spiritual.
It's almost like a Back for Blood situation. Like
like the
were to
developers
4 Dead.
left, and then they made their own version. Okay.
I think so. I forget what it's called.
Not
Dang it.
Battleborn, though, because Battleborn's dead. It was dead basically on arrival, and that kind of is what it looks like is happening with Concord. I'm going to look up the concurrent players right now in front of everybody.
Do it.
Concord
And I'm going to call shenanigans on this
Steam charts.
concurrent players.
He's calling shenanigans, ladies and gentlemen. It's an audible. Playing an hour ago, as of the Steam charts, 195 people.
It's been hovering around 200 for
Yeah.
the last few days. Steam charts.
That's not very good.
I don't know about that. This game is not so much a PC game.
There's
It is
more-
a
yeah.
I bet there's a lot more people playing on Concord. I really want to play this game again, but I don't want to fork over $40 and then lose the game and never be able to play it again.
I don't know if you'll lose the game. I think you'll fork over $40 and then they're going to go live service. I don't think they're going to bail on a game they spent 8 years on that quickly. Like, even Anthem had a little bit of a tail to it. Not like a popular tail, but it was around for about 2 years after release, even though they live serviced it as well.
It's just I want to play it before it's gone forever. I loved Lawbreakers. I thought that was a great game, even though it had the same situation going, where the characters were uninspired.
Yeah.
And it came out during a time where something else was, Overwatch was going harder. It was more new, more fresh. Now, Concord is the kind of the opposite of that, with more new, it's old and not fresh.
Feels like a copy.
With the same
of a
game
copy
that they're trying to copy.
Yeah. Yeah, Concord, it's disappointing. You never want to see a game fail, per se, like ever, because it's just kind of bad for, one, the industry,
Sometimes
and two,
games
the companies.
need to fail.
Yes, that's true. There's plenty of situations in which games have failed and have led to better games coming out of the ashes, if you will. We'll see if that happens
God of
with
War
this.
Ascension.
Yeah, that game was terrible.
Yeah.
It was awful. And then we got God of War 2016 out of it, and it's one of the greatest games of all time. So, I don't know. Battleborn, I just called it Battleborn. Concord, that's the danger of having a game, I think, like Concord, where it's a hero 5v5. You're relying basically entirely on the bringing in of a player base.
Yeah.
But the problem is, it's a hero shooter. That player base is basically all saturated up with the numerous other hero shooters that we've played and have seen fail as well over the last 5 to 7 years.
Predecessor is the game that is Battleborn's
Predecessor.
Yeah. Yep.
That's what it's called?
Yep, it is.
Okay.
But anyways, free to play.
I would imagine
is really disappointing.
The thing is, you're almost certainly right where it's more popular on PlayStation consoles.
Yeah.
For sure. But I don't know how much more popular it is.
Or how long it's going to last.
The biggest death wish you can have for a video game in today's industry, in the world's industry, for video games, is not being cool.
Yeah.
And the cool thing right now for the industry is crapping on Concord, which is like the exact opposite of what you want if you're Concord.
Also, if you're going to make a hero shooter, you got to get people to want to play your heroes.
Yeah, true.
If your heroes look like they were designed by a committee of corporate Sony execs,
or pieces taken off all the other hero shooters and put together,
they're like, well, we need to have him look like a little bit like, what's his name, Quill Guardians.
Yeah, Peter Quill. Star-Lord.
You're like, we got a little of Star-Lord here, we got a little bit of Groot here.
It gets old relatively quickly.
You can see where they had their influences, and they're not inspired at all.
Yeah, the inspiration, if it becomes incredibly evident what the inspiration is, it feels to lack inspiration, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So,
unless it's an iconic inspiration, like if you make it a shark game and you don't watch Jaws, what are you doing?
Well, if you're making a shark game, it's very obvious your inspiration, though. You know, like, of course you're going to make it seem like Jaws, because that's the only inspiration you need for any of those. So, and the other thing is, though, the things that they're taking from aren't necessarily like heroes or characters that are that popular in the first place. Like you're setting Peter Quill, Groot, okay, that's fine. But even like other Overwatch characters, they're trying to take pieces of, and it's like a lot of the Overwatch characters. There's maybe a couple, like a handful that were like, yeah, we really love this character. I want to know more about them, and the rest of them are just kind of there.
Yeah,
for characters to pick. I
would say about 10 of the Overwatch characters are really, really good.
Maybe even less.
Valorant, when it comes to Valorant, those characters, I would say more of them are interesting. They're designed really well when it comes to like drawing them out and silhouetting them.
Yeah, that's true. But the thing is too with Valorant though, like they don't have, for me anyways, they don't have as interesting of characters, but the gameplay is all that needs to sell. Like I'm enjoying the game itself. The shooting mechanics and everything, it feels like a really good first-person shooter. So, and it feels like seems like Concord is just kind of half good. Yeah, half good at one thing and half good at the other, and that doesn't necessarily equal out to a very good game.
I remember the beta. I liked the level design or the map design. I liked the crunchiness of the gunplay and the guns being pretty different from each other. There's not a lot of them.
Yeah.
But they all feel really different from each other. And then it's just uninspired. That's all it is.
And it's not cool.
Would you said 8 years in development?
That's the reports. Plus a couple reports, 8 years in development, a couple reports, $200 to $300 million.
Also, I'm going to put some blame on some people right now.
Whose fault is it, Grant?
I'm going to say Bungie.
Bungie, you blew. They didn't have anything to do with this.
Sort of. I don't know. But I know from what Sony said about what they wanted Bungie as a to do as a role in Sony, because Sony owns Bungie now. And they wanted them to oversee the live service games. That's why we got Last of Us Factions Part 2 or whatever you want to call it canceled. Because apparently the rumor was, I don't think they made an official statement about it, but the rumor was that Bungie and some people who work at Bungie who know live service games, obviously, they said they just they weren't going to be able to keep it going. Like the monetization and the length of the game wasn't going to be where they wanted, by judging by the gameplay or whatever they saw in Last of Us Factions. So therefore, in my opinion, under Bungie's request and expertise, Sony canned it. Now I'm thinking Bungie said the opposite to Concord. They're like, well, it's a great idea. Great characters, great. And they couldn't be more wrong. And that's why I'm going to blame Bungie, even though I might be completely talking out of both sides of my mouth.
Yeah. I would say
I'm
that's
still going to blame them.
You know what's crazy? You said that, and I said round of applause to Bungie. You know why?
Why?
Because Sony is the bigger problem. They're like, hey, let's make a couple live service games. Even though we could just release Last of Us Part 2 Factions and it not be a live service game, and it would kill. It would kill.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be a live service product.
No, it just has to be good.
It just has to be good. It could be a yearly release, the in between from Part 2 to Part 3 or whatever.
Yeah, you don't need just battle passes every week or every month.
You don't need it. And I'm wondering if maybe that's what Bungie was saying. They were like, hey, you don't need to do this. Just make the Factions game, release it.
It's possible.
And then that's what happens. It's a game that's released and people buy it. I don't know,
because if Bungie was brought on to advise in this situation, then I'm going to assume that they greenlit Concord and stopped Last of Us.
Which is, I don't know. I wonder if they just had an issue with it because, I mean, they are kind of the console, not kings, but the forebearers of that live service model with Destiny, for sure.
And Halo.
But I would say they brought it in with Destiny a lot more than anything. The live service model.
Yes.
So I don't know. If Bungie does have any sort of involvement with it, I wonder if Bungie's also just kind of angry because they kind of saw a lack of support with Destiny 2 towards the end. And so they had to be purchased by Sony, essentially, to get bailed out.
The rumor is that Sony purchased them and then were like, what can you do for me?
Yeah.
And they just said,
Right. Well, that's the thing, though.
And then they were like, okay, then Sony was disappointed in their purchase.
But that's the thing, is Bungie was coming from Activision, and
they're
milking them dry, essentially. How much more can we get out of this cow?
I'm sure Bungie negotiated a contract with Sony that was the complete opposite
of what Activision's was. Yeah,
Activision was.
Yeah.
I can't speak right now.
You know what they should have done? Bungie should have just gone to Xbox. You know, they've made a couple of good games over there.
You know what Bungie should have done? Build your own console.
They'll never do that. That's expensive. Isn't Bungie from Australia? Am I wrong about that?
No, they're from Seattle.
Wow, could not be more on the opposite side of the earth of what I said. So yeah, Concord. I don't know. We'll see what happens. It's probably going to go live service. That's usually or free to play, not live service.
They'll probably at first they'll do a PlayStation Plus.
Yeah, free to play days is what they usually call them. That's what they do it on Xbox.
I don't want to pay $40 for it now, but I also want to play it really bad so I can have a better judgment of it.
I'd be curious to see the numbers on those free to play day events that Xbox does as well as PlayStation to see how many they actually end up keeping after the free to play days. I wonder how much, like how big the number is or percentage.
I don't know, but it does make me want to yearn for Sony to do something with the first person shooter in their ecosystem.
Yeah.
Can I please?
I haven't in a while.
You have all this cool stuff, all IP.
Yeah.
SOCOM.
Just sitting around.
Can't think of any other ones.
Those are probably the most famous ones.
The Warhawk.
I don't even know what that is.
Yeah.
You talking about Hawks? Tom Clancy's Hawks?
No, not that.
Oh.
Speaking of Tom Clancy.
No, don't move on yet. Tom Clancy.
I really like Sony's IP in their first-person shooter realm, but they just haven't released anything in a long time.
It's really odd the hit or miss that we've gotten from Sony over the last 7 months.
Sony in this generation.
Yeah, apart from their first-party stuff, which I think has been pretty good.
I'm talking about their first-party stuff.
No, the first-party stuff's been pretty solid. Ragnarok was solid.
I would say half.
It wasn't as good as God of War, but Spider-Man 2 was solid.
It was a lot like Spider-Man, the PS4 version.
But I don't... Perfect. That's exactly what I want.
On PS4.
Then
you have God of War Ragnarok, which was also on PS4.
Yeah.
Then you have Last of Us Part 2, which was a PS4 game.
Yeah, I wasn't going to add that one.
Zero Dawn, also on PS4.
But Horizon Forbidden West.
That's what I'm talking about. Sorry, not Zero Dawn. Forbidden West was also on PS4.
But it was first party made more for PS5.
It seems like a PS4 game.
I would say...
I'd say nothing.
But the connector is the second party stuff or the third party stuff that they sell out has not been good. That part. Apart from one game, Helldivers. That's been their huge hit. They haven't needed to make anything first party come out this year because they had the Helldivers.
What about the game that just came out a few months ago?
Exactly.
Third person action game.
I don't know what it's called.
Female girl. Female girl.
You just said the same thing twice.
No, female protagonist. Korean. A lot of skin.
Mirror's Edge. No. Stellar Blade.
Stellar Blade, thank you.
Yeah.
Gosh.
Yeah.
It's the first thing I think about.
But that's the thing, though, is Hellblade 2.
You know what I'm thinking about.
Hellblade 2 is arguably the biggest game that came out this year. I just said Hellblade 2.
You mean Helldivers?
Helldivers 2.
Yeah.
Arguably the biggest game that came out this year, just because of concurrent players, other than maybe...
Not a lot. I'm not excited about 2024, and we're almost over.
By the way, Black Myth with Wukong. We got to throw that in there, because that's been huge.
But is that a PlayStation exclusive?
Yeah, it's not out on Xbox.
Yeah.
So it's PlayStation PC exclusive.
I think it just wasn't released on Xbox because they couldn't get it running on the original Xbox One.
Well, I mean...
the Series S. Which is practically an Xbox One.
I mean, we'll see if they even port it over. Those usually they'll do the thing where it's like, hey, a year later, here comes Black Myth Wukong.
Yeah. On
Xbox Series X or Xbox or whatever. But at the very least, it's delayed exclusive. So I don't know. I think Sony's just kind of in a weird spot after the 2017 or 2018, whatever year that was. With God of War, Ghost of Tsushima all coming out the same year. I think Uncharted 4 came out that year as well, pretty close to that.
Yeah.
Just hit after hit after hit after hit after hit. They could not miss. And then it's just kind of slowed down since then.
Oh, it's slowed big time.
Pretty big time. So
honestly, I was really looking forward to Last of Us Factions.
I think that's a good point. That's a bigger loss than I think we as a collective have given it credit for.
Oh,
if that makes sense.
Oh, I just blame Bungie for it.
Yeah. See, I blame Sony.
No, the buck falls with Sony.
Yeah.
For sure.
They're
Has to.
Yeah, they're the publishers.
They're driving.
Yeah. So shout out Sony. We hope you figure it out. Here's what I will say. Concord, sick controller. Like an awesome
They have a controller?
PS5 controller that they're releasing.
Oh, really?
It is so cool.
I mean, the CG cutscenes and
Yeah.
art direction is pretty good, other than it looking a little Guardians of the Galaxy but
And Overwatchy.
bright colors, sci-fi.
Yeah. But the controller's amazing. It was
Okay.
awesome. I'll show it to you here in a second.
Sure.
Star Wars Outlaws. Speaking of bright colors and sci-fi
It's another disappointment.
Star Wars. We're different.
Hold on.
I've heard good things about this game.
I've heard good things too, and I've heard the things that they say are mediocre.
Mm-hmm.
I really don't like in my games. You go ahead.
I've heard some of the same stuff, I would say, with the stealth. It seems like the biggest issue for this game so far. I've heard the worlds are more interesting than I think a lot of people would have
realized. Can you go from
realized.
Land to space to another?
Yeah, you can do it. Here's the thing.
Yeah,
This is
please
what
tell me.
It makes me so angry about the Starfield people, the people that hated the Starfield thing.
People?
No, the people that hated Starfield for going in and having a loading screen go into the worlds or whatever.
I have no problem with
This game has a loading screen. They just hide it. It's the same thing Destiny did.
Yeah.
10 years ago when they were like, hey, guess what? This isn't a loading screen because your ship's on the screen.
that.
Not a loading screen.
It just makes
the same thing.
It just makes the loading screen longer.
Yeah, exactly. It just makes this loading screen longer and you're looking at different things. It's still a loading screen. I'm not moving the ship around when I'm trying to enter the planet that I'm going on. This is what Outlaws has. That's the big thing.
Yeah.
They're like, hey, guess what? You can land on this planet and it's a seamless transition. You land and then guess what? There's a cutscene, but you're landing and it's a seamless transition. It's so stupid. I hate it so much. It's the dumbest argument I've ever heard in my entire life.
From what point of view? Who's the dumb one?
I saw it from a TikTok or something. And they were like, look at the seamless transition of landing.
Oh, you don't like the fact that they call it a seamless?
Right,
Okay.
because it's kind of like a shot. And look, Starfield has its issues, obviously. We'll not
talk
disagree with
about
that. But using that as like the example to bash on it, even though it's doing the same thing, it's just your loading screen looks a little different. It's a loading screen.
I don't know what this PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series, I don't know what they're doing different than any other console that's come out in the last 2 or 3 generations.
We can get into...
The graphics are better. The resolution is better. But we're still getting games that are running at 30 frames a second on console. Brand new consoles.
I can't do this with you.
No, you can do this.
No,
with
this
me.
will be a
Because I'm going to
tangent.
ask this question. Does Star Wars Outlaws, does it run at 60 frames?
I don't know. But here's the thing. I don't care. Because I'm a grown-ass man. You'll have to bleep that. I'm sorry.
Oh, my God.
I'm a grown man, and it lasts about 25 seconds, and I'm like, okay, who cares? You know what else runs at 30 frames a second? Halo 3 on the Xbox 360.
because it's old.
And I
Came
was
out
like, all right, cool.
2007.
I was like, here's what I'll say.
Came out almost 2 decades
Here's
ago.
what I'll say, okay? I agree with you in the sense that it does, like, to this point, we should be getting 60-frame
There needs
games.
to be a standard. Why
You're
is
right.
30 a standard?
Okay,
That's an unacceptable standard for me.
You're right.
Yeah.
Some of the greatest games of all time run at 30 frames a second.
Yeah, I
Red
know.
Dead Redemption 2 runs at 30 frames a second.
Yeah.
And it's unbelievable. You will never be able to tell. Forza Horizon runs at 30 frames a second. The racing game runs at 30 frames a second. It does. You can go check.
Yeah, you can change it to
You know what happens?
fidelity.
You know what happens? You go in,
performance.
it goes 30 frames a second. You're like, oh, this looks kind of slog. Whoa, that's cool. And then it's over.
I remember
That's what
Forza
happens.
Horizon 5 when that came out, and it was stuck at 30 frames on my Xbox One X. I was so mad because Forza Horizon 4 ran at 60 frames. And then the sequel you bought, which came out on the series consoles as well, it ran at 30. It was half the frames from the game previously. That's one of the things, like, I don't like going backwards. You can't go backwards.
I agree with you.
It runs
In
on
a
60
sense,
on Series X.
I agree with you in a sense that I agree that there needs to be a standard. Like 60 frames should be what we're shooting for in a lot of these games.
Yeah.
100%.
Well, especially first-person games.
Yes.
Now, third-person, when you... Hellblade 2, when it came
30
out,
frame.
graphically a powerhouse.
Yes.
I didn't mind so much. It was also extremely cinematic, so
Yeah.
kind of looks like a movie. Forgivable.
Right.
But guess what? My problem is when developers, like we were talking about Avowed, which I didn't write it down, but I wanted to talk about
I was wondering why you didn't write it
Avowed
down.
said, or the developers, who are they called? Obsidian.
Yeah.
They said that they were aiming for 30 on this console because they can add more bells and whistles.
Yeah.
And they don't need it to keep it 60.
Right.
But they're full of crap. Obsidian, you're full of crap. Because if you actually thought that, then you would aim for 30 on PC with even more bells and whistles. But you don't. Because there is a standard on PC. And the standard's been that way for, 30 years now?
Right.
Almost 30 years of 60 frames. Nobody wants to play a first-person shooter, magic game, whatever you want to call it, in 30 frames is ridiculous.
But the thing is, you're talking about the minority of video gamers.
No, I'm not.
PC gamers are the minority. They're the minority. Yes, they are. You can look at the stats. There are more console gamers than there are PC gamers. 100% a fact. That's a fact. That's why nothing releases.
That's ridiculous.
That's a huge game. Releases exclusively on PC.
I just don't buy that fact. Are you talking about globally?
Yes.
Or are you talking about in America?
There's more people that own Microsoft Xboxes and PS4, PS5s than PCs.
No.
Than PCs that play those games. 100%.
Just look at Wukong and how many concurrent players were playing on PC compared to the PS5.
Oh, I bet it's more on the PS5.
Oh, it's not even close.
I bet it's more on the PS5.
It's like 8-1.
No, I bet it's way more on the PS5. We don't get those stats for PlayStation. We were just talking about that with Concord.
Sony doesn't allow those stats.
Right,
They
of
never
course.
talk about them.
Yeah, but that's the same thing with Xbox. Microsoft does the same thing. They don't allow those stats to come out. But you can look at just the way that they're sold, that these games are sold, that these games are shown. They're very obviously appealing towards the majority of their audience.
They showed off Avowed at Gamescom.
Yeah.
They did not show the 30 frames a second version.
But of course not.
Well, why not?
Every single game. But
they say it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Every single game that's shown on any of those stages, though, is running on PC equipment.
Of course.
Yes. Because it's a more powerful product.
Yeah. But
I don't disagree with that.
I still expect it to be 60 on console.
But
I don't expect it to be 60 on PS2, although some games were.
Yeah, but Ocarina of Time ran at 20 frames a second. So
I mean, that's a Nintendo 64.
That's a weird comparison. The thing
running 3D games on cartridges.
They're going to run it with the most power for the PC to give it the best look for the presentation. Obviously, that's how they would run anything.
I know, but my point is that if they were confident in their statement that you don't need 60 because we have all these bells and whistles to make it worth cutting it down to 30, then show off the 30 with all the bells and whistles.
But why would they do that?
Because it looks terrible.
No, exactly. Because they're trying to convince you, the person who is going to hate the 30 frames per second thing, they're never going to show that to you.
No, because it looks awful.
No,
and that's my issue with games that run at 30 frames. They look terrible.
I understand.
And I have a brand new $600 console.
I understand what you're saying.
With and that's another thing. And they're also full of crap. They want to run this game at 4K because there's some sort of weird thing with Microsoft and Sony where they want their games to be at 4K. When the majority of gamers, and I'm going to say this, would rather play at 1440p 60 than 30 4K. And comments, if I'm wrong, flame me.
It depends on what you're talking about. I think for competitive shooters, yes.
Because I guarantee
100%.
I guarantee they can get Avowed running at 30 or 60 frames because Starfield said the same thing.
Yeah.
And then Starfield was like, oh, here's your 60 frame patch.
Right. I don't disagree with that. I think you're correct. At some point, they will release something that patches it to 60 frames. Every game has a performance mode now and or a fidelity mode.
That should be the standard.
But
I
agree.
Actually is the standard.
I agree with that. And I do think that the 30 frames, the 30 frames issue option is a standard that everything should have. But I also think when I'm playing the game,
then you don't notice it.
I'm like 30 seconds in. I'm like, man, this is kind of a slog. And then after 30 seconds, I'm like, okay, let's get to it.
Not me.
Let's play the game.
When it comes to first person, and I'm aiming and shooting. In the case of Starfield, I'm aiming and picking up a bunch of little things on the ground. I need that thing to be smooth. Or I need an FOV slider to where I can slide it all the way out.
But see,
140 40.
I played Starfield when it came out, and it was like that. It was 30 frames, and I was like, "This feels a little sloggy. Wow, this looks cool though."
Yeah,
and then it was over.
I was like, "This is it."
And then I was like, "All right, that's
Never
it.
again.
Cool, done."
And then I actually did play it.
Yeah,
In 60.
and it's great.
No, it wasn't not.
It's a great game. Starfield's great.
Okay,
but Avowed, just I agree there needs to be a standard,
really
a higher standard.
Okay, so I think maybe the standard. Make the standard a 30 frames, 4K, or 1440, or even 1080p. I'd rather play 1080p 60 than 4K 30. Any day, I'd rather play 720.
No, it depends on what we're talking about. Because if you're talking about Call of Duty, yes,
shooter,
100%, sure.
Yeah,
Avowed, no.
First person.
Avowed's a first person story game. You can run that at 30 frames per second.
That is
swinging a sword. I don't care.
Sword fighting game.
Right.
Now, there's an example.
Perfect.
Perfect example. Go play Chivalry Part 2.
Multiplayer game?
Yeah. Yes.
Right. Doesn't count. I'm not talking
why
about
not?
that. I'm talking about first person sword swinging action game. Outer Wilds.
Okay, hold on. Let me just rephrase it. Let's do Chivalry with a bunch of bots, not multiplayer.
Okay.
I'm just talking about the smoothness of swinging your sword, missing, clanging, blocking, parrying.
You think of
that's going to be in an Avowed. Go play Chivalry 2 in 30 frames on your PS4 right now. And it's in, 1080p, 30 frames. You then go play
It's 1080p 30 frames?
Probably.
That's the ultimate worst.
On PS4, probably. Maybe Pro or Xbox One X, maybe it's 4K.
They up-resed?
Checkerboarded at least. And then go play Chivalry 2 in glorious 60. And you're like, whoa, this is insane. This is so much better.
Yes, of course it's better. I'm making that argument at all.
Okay.
I'm saying that it's not
a deal breaker for you.
No, I'm just like, especially with a first-person story game, there's no multiplayer in Avowed, period. You're just going around doing your magic stuff and swinging a sword. And I'm like, you know what? This looks really cool because the graphics are going to look really cool. I would hope. I hope, anyways.
I don't know. I have a 4K TV, but and I would downgrade that thing to 1080p, 60, or even 120 any day.
The other thing is, like, Outer Wilds, when that released, or Outer Worlds, I hate that they released two games like that right next to each other.
Like Dante's Peak and Volcano.
Yeah. Oh, twin movies. Oh, dude, don't get me going on White House Down and Olympus Has Fallen.
Oh, I thought they were the same.
Nope, two different movies released the same year about a White House being attacked. With different actors.
Games do this too, by the way.
I know. It's weird.
Probably
twin movies and games.
And what they do is they try to undercut the other studio. Yeah. It actually happened successfully with...
Overwatch and Battleborn.
No. With Concord and...
Deadlock.
Deadlock, which is Steam's game. Yeah. Deadlock, the rumors were like people were playing Deadlock, but no one ever saw... footage of it.
Mm-hmm.
And then when Concord was released, they released Deadlock, and people were like, hero shooter made by Valve.
Wait, so Deadlock is officially out now then?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize that. I thought they were still doing beta.
Beta, yeah.
Oh, okay.
But you can play it.
Gotcha. What was I saying about? Oh, Outer Worlds.
Outer Worlds.
When that originally released on the Xbox 3 or Xbox One.
Yeah.
Ran at 30 frames.
Yeah.
1080p 30 frames.
Not a fan.
Granted, garbage. Terrible. Now, looking at it, it's garbage.
I like that game, but yeah.
But that's what I mean. You noticed it. You're like, this doesn't play very well. Wow, I'm enjoying this. That's about how long it takes. At least for me.
I played it on PC. It's a lot better.
See, I agree. Anything that's going to run on PC, of course, is going to be better.
But here's
depending
another
on the PC you have.
My PC, my video card, I have a 1060 video card. I bought that thing in 2015 or 14.
Right.
And that was 10 years ago. And my new Series X console that has a better video card in it, through and through, it's way more powerful than my PC, and it's running Avowed at 30. Yet I'm going to play Avowed on my PC that is 10 years old, on my video card that's 10 years old, and it's going to run at 60, even though it's going to look worse. But they're going to be like, here's your standard is 60. We're not going to give you 30, otherwise the game's broken. It's going to give you a headache.
One thing I think we don't talk about enough is I don't think that Microsoft and or Sony, like they don't get enough blame for the, I think, under recommended level video cards that they actually make and put in their consoles. I think they basically make them to be able to fit in the console that they're selling.
Well, that's true.
More than anything.
But there's still, the power is still behind them. They still have sell NVIDIA chips and
right, but it's not an NVIDIA card. NVIDIA is the second most profitable company on planet Earth right now.
Okay, well then have their AI make this game. Then I don't know.
I mean, here's what I would love: if one of them
60.
just partnered with NVIDIA and put all NVIDIA cards, or like a bunch of whatever 4010s, I don't know how video cards work, 3080s into Xboxes and or PlayStations. I'm all for that. That's a losing scenario for Microsoft because you're playing NVIDIA and or Sony. They have a gajillion dollars.
They have video cards designed for the console and everything in there. But what am I going to say? I don't know. I was going to say something about the video cards.
Shout out video cards.
I think Avowed and I think Bethesda, Obsidian, all Microsoft
used to be
now.
Connected. Yeah.
I think they're full of crap. I'm going to say that they can't get this thing running at 60 because of the Series S. And from what I hear from people and developers that I know, that thing's a pain in the butt. Getting your game, I get it. You can get your games running on my 1060, which they still have to design for and account for, I guess.
Right.
But when it comes to consoles, I think that the Series S is extremely underpowered, and Microsoft wants every game to come to Series S.
Well, and not only that, Xbox One too, for the most part.
Yeah,
just old Xbox One.
Yeah,
and PS4. Sony doing the same thing. That's the thing.
Star Wars Outlaws is coming out for PS4.
We talked about this.
I think
it. Yeah, almost positive. We talked about this a couple months ago. But there was the stat that 50% of gamers are still playing on Xbox One and PS4. Yeah. Like they're never going to.
Yeah, they're not going to move because you keep making downgraded games for them.
Well, that's the thing is they're going to have to rely on the game companies to do that, to make that force. Like EA Sports, college football, they're like, we're going to make this the way that we want because we're still going to make a ton of money off it, and it's going to sell consoles. Not that matters to us. Because if they wanted to release it on Xbox One and PS4, they would make a ton more money.
Yeah.
But it's going to handicap them.
Yeah.
So I agree.
Like why Valorant can easily run on an original Xbox One and a PS4. It runs on my wife's old laptop from like 15 years ago perfectly fine.
But that one's an easy game.
Yeah. But they chose to, nope, we're going with Series X and or Series and PS5.
PS5. Yeah. I don't know. That's the thing. There's got to be a Rockstar. I'm angry. Rockstar might be that company. Like when GTA 6 comes out, they might just there's no shot that that's coming out to older consoles, to the Xbox One, PS4. Zero shot.
No
absolutely zero shot. And that might be the one that's like, okay, that has pushed us over the edge where more people are buying PS5s.
Honestly, I don't think GTA 6 is going to be able to run that well on a Series X.
Maybe not. You might be right. It might. Well, that's the thing. When GTA 5 came out on the 360 and the PS3,
there are going to be a mid-gen upgrade, right? There is going to be one for PS5. There is a PS5 Pro coming out.
Yeah, but they're not going to make it.
Is it out? I don't know.
It's not out. No.
But I
think they like half announced it a little bit, but they didn't show it off.
I lost track of that.
I can't remember either. But they're not like GTA, Grand Theft Auto, or Rockstar's not going to make GTA for the mid-gen upgrade. They're going to make it for.
They might.
No, they're going to make it for the sweeping consoles. Which then we run into the same problem.
Yes.
Because then we get the Series X2 and the PS5 Pro or whatever, and it runs at 60 on those consoles and 30 on the Series X.
It happened
PS5.
last gen.
Yeah, that's what I mean. We're gonna keep running into the same problem.
I don't know if that's a problem.
Of course it is. Because we're still
a problem for who? For the consumers? I don't think so.
No, because a majority of the people are going to still have the Series X or the PS5. 90% of them are going to have the Series X and the PS5.
Yeah.
So of course Rockstar is going to make it compatible with that console.
I'm not saying you should downgrade it to the originals.
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying you should upgrade the originals to the mid-gen upgrade.
Yeah.
So if you wanted to play your Cyberpunk 2077 on Series X or PS5 Pro, you can now run it at 4K 60 instead of 4K 30, which is, or I mean, what is it called? The shadow rendering.
Ray tracing.
Ray tracing.
Yeah.
You can run ray tracing at 60 frames, but only on PS5 Pro.
Right. Yeah, they did
that with The Witcher. They did that with a lot of games.
The thing is that I don't think that's also in there. I think we need, like, a lot of these games, for the most part, it feels like just need an extra 9 months to bake in the oven in order to even put in performance mode and fidelity mode.
Yeah.
Like, look at perfect.
It should be standard. It should be
perfect segue
right from the beginning.
Perfect segue. Starfield. That is the perfect example of that. Should have been maybe left in the oven for another 9 months, and then it would have come out, and it still probably would have been broken in a lot of places. Let's be honest. There's not a single game that releases in the world today that isn't broken in a lot of areas, especially bigger games like that. So, whatever. But now they've released the car.
What is it called?
The vehicle.
Shattered.
Oh, Shattered Space, I think is what it's called. Something like that. Pretty close.
Shattered Horizons.
Is that what it is?
No. I have no
Shattered
idea.
Space, something like that. It's their big DLC update and whatnot. You get new story stuff in it. They put a car in it, so you don't have to run around all the places. Thank you, Lord. The 60 frame per second update came again about 8 months after the game released. And that just that is becoming more and more apparent. Is these games, when they do release with the 30, they're like, just give us a little bit and release a 60 frame upgrade version
going
of it.
down. I remember when Doom 2016 was coming out, and they did like a docu-series right when the game came out, and I watched it, and they got the game running, they got the game complete, and then they were like, now here's our next mission, getting it to run at 60 on PS4.
Right.
That's what they said. And they got it to work on PS4 perfectly.
And it's got to take, but I'm assuming it takes a ton of time. Yeah.
Also, the guys
you can't make for both.
They know how to do that. Those guys are geniuses when it comes to optimization.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, true
stuff.
Yeah, and then also that game, just in general, those Doom games are just kind of smaller too. When you're talking about versus, because it's it's much more linear than it is open world.
No, yeah, definitely.
Like Avowed or whatever.
There's still a lot going on.
No, you're right. True, 100%. But yeah, 1 year anniversary of Starfield.
Yeah,
which is weird. It feels like it's been out way longer than that.
Probably the most polarizing game that Bethesda's ever made. Well, there is Fallout 4 was a little bit.
It was polarizing. I think,
right?
But I think a large part of the Fallout community now kind of agrees that like it's good, but it's not Fallout 3 or like New Vegas good.
Yeah.
Like it's behind those two. I think for mostly everybody.
When I played whatever this game is called, Starfield.
Hey, wake up!
I was disappointed because of not just the 30 frames.
Yeah,
I still tried it, and I will get used to it. I guess I have to,
because you can also play it in third person.
Yeah, but it's hard to.
It's not very good in third person. None of the Bethesda games are good in third person, even though they offer it to you.
And I just didn't like the atmosphere, the world.
There is none.
I get it. And the
Space
world,
game.
there's more. But I didn't like. I couldn't buy in. And I buy into the Fallout. I mean, I think they make the best lore-driven games out of everybody.
Yeah, some of the best world-building lore in video games.
There are giant tombs of Elder Scrolls literature.
Yeah. Same Fallout, maybe less so than Elder Scrolls, but it still has those
still extremely
monstrous amounts of lore.
You would probably be able to make a better Fallout movie than a Skyrim movie or a.
They already made a show.
Movie.
I mean,
I know.
Yeah, of course. All the lore that you need is there to tell the backstory of what's going on. So yeah, I agree. I like Starfield a lot in the sense that I was a Starfield apologist. It was one of my favorite games from the past year that I played. There were things I didn't love. Obviously, it was buggy. I also kind of knew that going in. It's a Bethesda game. Broken as hell. That's Bethesda for you.
That's expected, I guess.
Yeah. But I did enjoy some of the worlds that you were able to kind of explore. Some of like the main hub cities were really cool, and they had some of them had a bunch of different vibes. One was like a western city on this planet. Another was much more of like a rained out like utopia or cyberpunky utopia that's constantly getting rained on and whatnot. And there's different stories kind of happening in each one of these cities. I think the music is really good in that game. Like,
is
really good.
Really good.
And then even like some people don't love the ship stuff, whatever. But I liked a lot of the ship stuff. The ship combat can get really hard too if you're not careful. So yeah, and I'm sure I'm probably going to go back and play this game because now we have the Shattered Space, and then also I haven't played it since, or I haven't sat down and like played it religiously since the 60 frames per second update.
It doesn't run. I mean, when it came out, it wasn't very smooth at all. But.
No. I will say, though, the thing that they did have going for them that I think they did really well, their physics engine in that game is really cool. Like, you can interact.
Mess around and stuff?
Yeah, like you could put, I remember seeing videos and clips of people putting like tons of potatoes in their ship and whatnot, and it was all kind of like touchable and whatnot. I thought that was really cool. So yeah, I don't know. I think this game maybe gets too much hate for how it was. It was released.
It's on the back of gigantic expectations.
Yeah, and that's honestly, I personally blame Todd Howard for that because he is the king of doing that. Remember Fallout 76?
Yeah,
that was the biggest downfall of that game. Even though now it's not it's not a game that I love to play, but it's way better than it was. Way better than it was.
Well, I kind of wanted to talk about Bethesda Game Studios and their successes. I still feel like they can knock it out of the park. They can make another Skyrim. I guarantee. I know they can.
Well, that's the thing. The thing with expectations again.
Yeah.
They released that stupid trailer, Elder Scrolls 6 or whatever, and that was 6 years ago now.
I don't know.
Something like that.
While.
5 years ago. Nothing since then.
I really like Morrowind. That Morrowind is a game that defined me as a gamer when it came out. There's moments of me growing up as a fan of games where, I mean, very few moments that wowed me completely. Shadow of the Colossus was one of them. Games that really wow, that really push the next thing.
Did you play the remaster?
Grand Theft Auto 3 really wowed me.
Did you play the remaster of Shadow of the Colossus?
Yeah.
Was it good?
Yeah, it's really
I've never
good.
played those games.
Blue Point made that.
Yeah. Sorry.
Now owned by Sony. But couple of ones. I mean, Mario 3 wowed me. A whole bunch of games wowed me. Morrowind was one of those games. I never had an open world adventure game ever outside of Zelda on Nintendo, I guess.
Yeah.
But that just blew me away. Well, hey, you go do your own thing. And then Skyrim came out and they just refined all that stuff to a point. And then that's it since Bethesda has been making games.
Pretty much.
They've stuck with the same engine, first of all.
Yeah. Which we can change that now.
They've stuck with resting on their laurels, I think. But
yeah,
it's a 1 year anniversary, so
yeah. The engine part is very interesting because it's well past time to upgrade to a different version. They're working with a 1967 pickup engine trying to run I don't know why I'm doing a car metaphor. I know nothing about cars.
I do.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
they're trying to run
trying to pull a trailer?
Yeah. Okay. Or they're trying to use a monster truck with a 1967 engine from a Ford. Does that make sense?
Sure.
No, I don't know. I don't know cars. All right, sorry. But that's the idea. Like that, I think, because I said engine, so I literally made it. Okay, gotcha.
That's why. Oh, good job.
But yeah, that's, I don't know. That they're well past needing an upgrade. Or just, dude, can you imagine Fallout or Skyrim or any of them on like Unreal Engine 5? Oh, perfect.
I have a feeling they would just bungle it and make it so buggy.
You're probably right.
The creation engine
Bethesda
is also very friendly for modding.
Yeah, that's true. That I will say that's one of the best things that they do out of anybody else is their modding ability to mod with the community.
Fallout 4 London just came out.
Yeah, which was huge. One of the biggest mods maybe ever created.
Yeah, one of them.
Sure.
I mean, I can.
Yeah. What?
Counter-Strike is the greatest mod I've ever made.
Well, whatever. But that's a real game now. Can't count it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And are you going to apologize to Valve?
No. What have they shown me?
They released a game.
No. Oh, okay. Sure. Sure. But it's still in beta, so they haven't released it.
I mean, it's playable.
Yeah.
And it's really refined.
We don't
There's
like
only
Valve.
one map right now, but it's a big map.
One map?
Deadlock. It's a very big MOBA map.
Yeah.
It's a shooter. Remember, we were talking about it not being a hero shooter and that it was only a MOBA, and now it's definitely a hero shooter. It's
with
just
a MOBA map.
Way more MOBA than you would think. Like, you have to fight hordes of little AI and build up your abilities and then
Those
go
are like
on.
Two things I hate.
Pretty much.
It's like
a tower defense first-person shooter MOBA.
It's like oh man, what's the game mode that they had in Halo 5? There were two teams. You had cards.
Fire team? Or fire?
But it was like multiplayer. It's essentially. It's fire team, but it's essentially a MOBA game.
Okay. Yes,
where
I know
you're
you're
killing. Yeah, and then there was bosses that give you better like rewards or whatever for killing them, and then you had to kill the opposing
There's
team
lanes
as well.
everywhere.
Yes.
Yeah.
Really quickly, because I thought of Unreal Engine 5. Have
Yeah.
you seen that Sims style game that's being made in South Korea using Unreal Engine 5?
Yeah. Ava or
Yeah, it's
like that.
it's like it's got a weird name because it's from South Korea, so it's probably a bad translation or something. That's one of those games that I see it, and I'm like, there's no way that this is real. Even though I've seen people play it and whatnot, like use the
why would you say is graphically?
Yeah,
Is it
because
good?
it looks unbelievable.
Yeah.
And there's stuff, and then we get like the Sims from EA, and it's like, this is what we're getting versus what South Korea is making over there with the Unreal Engine 5. How does this make any sense? It's crazy. Anyways, it's like
no one wants to put a lot of work and risk in.
I keep wanting to call it Isonzo, but that's not what it is.
Sounds awesome.
That's the World War I game.
And I think that Bethesda, but real quick before we go on to what we're playing or notable games, Bethesda is a Western developed RPG powerhouse.
46 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they have passed the torch to Eastern European developers. I think a lot of people have, and Asian developers now.
Yeah.
It's like, where are the great Western games that, ushered in video games?
That's
I guess the video game trend that we're kind of still stuck in right now.
That's a pretty good thought. That's honestly a good point because I think of like
where's their innovation? I think there's a hesitancy. Oh my God, to risk something.
Yeah,
because you make Concord and then you fire everybody.
Yeah, that's true.
But you wouldn't have had this problem if you didn't have such a horrible idea in the first place. Meanwhile, go to Eastern Europe and Stalker and The Witcher.
Yeah.
Remember when The Witcher 3 came out?
Yeah, that's the one I was
Bethesda
thinking of.
has a lot of work to do, and guess what they did? They just stuck with Skyrim.
Like, also, you bring up a good point because when you think of the top game studios in the world right now for releasing content, you could say Valve, I guess. That's a Western studio.
Yeah.
But then it's you just said their name. CD Projekt Red.
Yeah.
Doing Cyberpunk, which again released very poorly.
Yeah, but
didn't fire everybody and then rebuilt essentially the game into a fantastic video game.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's still my favorite game of this generation.
It's great.
And it came out last generation.
I was a huge hater on the original Cyberpunk when it first came out. And then I played it when it released with the DLC and the big update and everything, and I loved it. I thought it was amazing.
Go play the new Hunt Showdown 1896 right now and take a look at Crytek's new engine.
Yeah.
It is so good.
Yeah.
And it looks great on my Series X and PS5. It looks great.
Yeah.
It looks like the best graphical game on the system right now.
There's the other Western one that I would think of, but even though it's like a combination of a bunch of teams, probably be Rockstar.
Yeah.
But that's a combination. I think they're based in Chicago,
entity.
But yeah.
They're just Rockstar, Nintendo, those type of people who do their own thing.
Yeah. They don't have to worry about losing money.
Crytek is trying to win you over. And when they win you over, they're like, we're going to give you innovation.
Yeah.
Hunt Showdown is not like any other game ever. And they updated it big time.
Yeah. The other one, too, would be Helldivers 2. And those guys are Dutch.
Yeah. There's another great Dutch.
Another Eastern
the guys who did Killzone, or what are they called?
I don't know.
Guerrilla Games. I think
Guerrilla. Yeah.
Also
Dutch. Ghost of Tsushima.
Amsterdam. Yeah. Anyways.
Black Myth. Wukong.
Chinese.
Which is a huge game right now.
Yeah.
With a lot of seemingly groundbreaking
tech
visuals and tech inside of it. So yeah, you honestly bring up a good point.
Right. Meanwhile, Bethesda's using the Creation Engine.
Yeah. I think you could also make. By the way, I applied for a job at Bethesda a long time ago.
I've definitely
never got a response.
I applied to be a concept artist there a long time ago. I actually had an interview with Bungie once before.
Oh, really?
We'll talk about that one other day.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in the future. I do want to say though.
About it now.
Dang it. Oh, I think you could also get into a greater conversation about the difference in workplaces when it comes to Western and a lot of Eastern.
Well, I'll tell you right now,
studios.
a lot of Western studios or a lot of these younger people are coming in from college, art school, and they're just a bunch of babies, in my opinion.
Well, okay, wait a minute. See, I differ. I think
they're not coming in to win and dominate. They're coming in to like, I need to be paid my fair share and not do much. I need to work from home and all this stuff. We have disagreements there, but I will say that I went to art school. I
think
went to a very good art school.
I think the difference, though, is the feeling on some of the Eastern area, the Eastern developers, is they're able to take risks because they don't feel necessarily as much as people breathing down their neck that if they fail, you're fired. You lose your job.
Yeah.
I think that's a difference in mentality.
Well, I mean, shoot, I have a friend who worked in Singapore. I went to college with him. He was an amazing artist. Mm-hmm. He went on to build, to make the game, the Rocket Chicken game. Remember
Rocket
that?
League? No.
Rocket Chicken?
Rocket Chicken.
Yeah, and it was on PS3, and another one came out for PS4. It's an indie game. Mm-hmm. And, I mean, he lost his job because Sony...
Yeah. I'm not saying it doesn't happen.
Put up some money, and then they're like, your game wasn't good enough.
Yeah.
Rocket
I'm not saying it doesn't happen.
Hard-boiled chicken or rocket something, hard-boiled chicken? Man, I can't remember.
Yeah, I'm not saying it doesn't happen. I think it's...
Shout out Aang. If he's listening, I bet you are.
Shout out Aang. Last Airbender.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
That's the name of the character in the show.
Aang, he was one of the most talented artists I've ever seen in my entire life. I remember when I went to that school, and me and him, we lived in the same house together, and I was struggling with fine art, basically learning fine art, or not learning, but struggling with my lighting and stuff. And he comes in, he goes, oh, you just need this, and that. And he just mixed some paint for me and made some cool concept stuff. And I was like, how'd you do that? And he was like, well, you just practice. And I was like, oh.
Dude, people like Aang, man.
Practice.
Yeah, right, exactly.
I thought,
maybe you're just born with this.
I mean,
you ever think of that, Aang?
I went to art school, and a lot of these, my art school was different. It was very hardcore, where like you go in, it wasn't the Institute of Art. It was the San Francisco Academy of Art. Mm. And the difference was the Institute, sorry if I offend anybody, they go in and they go, oh, whatever you feel like art is art. They try to tap into you as an artist to release what you are capable of. And the Academy of Art was like, you want to make some money? This is how you're going to do it. Sit here and do it over and over and over again. Because there are no prodigies in art. No one wakes up and paints a Sistine Chapel. Michelangelo used to suck at painting. Yeah. And eventually he got good enough. Some people accelerate faster than others, whatever.
And then he broke his back.
So a lot of these people that I went to college with, and then I had an experience with the college as a graduate, and I saw the younger people come in, and they cried all the time. And by the time they went to the workplace, they expected a whole bunch of stuff out of these employers, and then they didn't put in the work.
You know what happens?
The game world put in hundreds of hours of overtime for games to be released. Grand Theft Auto 3 changed the entire industry. Oh, those guys weren't complaining about working long hours.
Until now.
They do now.
Yeah, no, but I'm saying they look back and they're like, I wish I would have spent more time with my family.
You're not going to, meanwhile.
Because I was working hundreds of hours.
The people in Ukraine making the new Stalker game in a war zone, think they're complaining about long hours?
Maybe.
And reporting to media to report their woes? No, they're going to put their butts into the sea and do some work.
But it's a different mentality in a lot of different places. Yeah, like look at the same thing.
I don't even know why I went on this tangent. Yeah,
the Dutch.
Yeah, they take their breaks.
Of course. And then they make Helldivers too. And you know what happens if that fails? We'll get them on the next one. You're not fired.
Yeah.
That's not all the time, but that's the idea. It's just a different mentality.
I got you.
All right. Let's move on.
Sorry.
By the way, sorry. You mentioned the games that really wowed you.
Yeah.
I was trying to think of some. Halo 2 was kind of the one for me. Yeah. Actually, Halo 1 more so.
Halo 1 definitely.
That was the one for me. And then also Grand Theft Auto 4 for like open world. It was later.
Oh, yeah. Man, when I played Grand Theft Auto 3, when it was like, dude, you can get out of your car and run and go anywhere.
That's how it was for Grand Theft Auto 4 because I wasn't allowed to play Grand Theft Auto for a long time as a kid. And then I played Grand Theft Auto 4. I was like,
I was in high school when Grand Theft Auto 3 came out, and we used to jump out of our car. Like if I had a friend in a red light, I
Same.
would jump out of my car and run and pull him out of his car, and then he'd go into mine, and I'd
then
take off.
At night, sometimes you would find this beautiful lady, and then you would whistle to her, and then she'd get in the car, and the car would start bouncing. It was really cool.
Then you got hydraulics.
Yeah, I was like, wow, dude, what is she doing in there? Let's move on.
Okay,
games coming out this week. We're at 54 minutes.
Here we go.
55 minutes.
Guess what? There's not a lot.
No.
Vampire Survivors on PS4/5 coming out to PlayStation. Have you ever played this game?
Of course. Nope.
It's
I don't think
top-down twin stick shooter, except for you don't need to use the right stick.
Okay.
It aims automatically.
So, not a twin stick shooter.
No, but it's designed like that.
Okay.
You just use your left stick, and it's a lot of fun. And it's a what is it called when you
Vampire. I don't think I've played ever a vampire game.
It's one of those games, roguelike.
Okay.
Big time. Play it over and over again. Things happen different. You get different abilities.
Done.
This game is a ton of fun. Finally coming to PlayStation. You guys should play it.
Shout out to Vampires.
All right.
Renaissance.
Harry Potter Quidditch Champions.
Yes!
That was really quick.
I'm so
It
excited.
was announced like
dude,
a few weeks ago.
I'm going to be the best. Whoever is the best at Rocket League, I'm going to be at Quidditch Champions. Probably not, though. Actually, I don't.
They're going to have to change the rules a little. I'm interested in how they change the rules to make it, fair and cohesive.
It would be really cool if Rocket League were, or the Rocket League developers were the ones that made this, because that would be so perfect for this game.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. It could be still really good.
Rocket League is a perfect game, by the way.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. It's not my cup of tea necessarily, but I 100%. It's the perfect gameplay loop.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing like it.
That's it.
Congrats to those games. And then what we're playing, you go first because mine.
Okay.
Well, actually, yeah, you go first.
I'm gonna play it. I'm gonna bang it out. Family came over, mom, sister, and nieces.
Yep.
Niece 11 years old and a niece 18 years old. Me and the 18-year-old played. Well, everybody played games from Wheel of Fortune to the Jackbox games, which are
Jackbox are great.
To this game I want to talk about, Resident Evil 4 Remake VR.
Yeah.
I was like, I have this VR. You want to play it? And she's like, sure. I like scary games. And we played it. It was awesome. And it's not as scary as I thought it would be.
I would say Resident Evil 4 isn't as scary as
definitely not
the other two that I would think of.
Village is scarier.
Yeah.
And
I'm thinking of the other remakes.
Resident Evil 7 is really scary.
Yeah. I'm thinking of
house.
I'm thinking of the remakes though.
Yeah,
so 2, 3.
2 and 3 are scarier than 4 for sure. But
you're not being
it's a lot of fun. I beat the 2 bosses. So I beat the Lago Beast, so the lake
monster. Yeah.
Really cool in VR, picking up spears and throwing it.
Yeah.
I was standing up. It was really kind of like a workout. But it worked perfectly fine. I thought there was going to be some trouble or maybe some graphical weirdness going on. No, it was awesome. Also, the zombies, or whatever you want to call them, they throw axes at you. And in the game, you just move out of the way. But in VR, you can move your head.
You're moving for real.
And it's awesome doing that.
VR, dude. It's here.
Yeah, and then kind of taking your knife and then knocking it out of the way works really good. I had a lot of fun with that.
It's really weird how Resident Evil, the franchise Resident Evil, is the forerunner when it comes to VR.
So if you want to seem
like
a cool uncle, be a cool uncle, first of all.
No one believes that.
Second of all, keep your old games because some of them disappear forever, like PT.
Yeah, true.
And so I was like, I have PT, and they're like, you have that game?
Oh, okay.
Wow. And so we played that. Man, that game is scary. Everybody in my family got scared. It was scary, and I've played it so many times.
They blew it, man. That game would have been huge.
You really do experience that game completely different every time you play.
Every time, yeah.
I've never seen the ghost come towards me. Every time you see the ghost, it's either behind you, the radio will say, look behind you, or it's down the hallway, and then you kind of turn away, and then it disappears, or it's either on the balcony, or sometimes outside. Very rarely it's outside. But this one, you have to, at the very end, you have to encounter the ghost, but not get killed by the ghost. So the ways you could do it is you could stare in the mirror and encounter her, and then you can see her in the mirror tweaking out.
Yeah.
Another time we saw her in the hallway. I was like,
I've seen that one.
What do? Don't go up to it because it's going to kill you. I was like, I think you just stay here at the other end of the hallway and you just watch it. And it started walking towards
creepy.
me. And I was like, wait a minute, it's not going to touch me. I don't think this has ever happened before. I've never seen it walk towards me. And then it kept walking and walking. And I was like, get in the bathroom, get in the bathroom. And we ran and got in the bathroom, and then she ate us anyways. And you can hear her crunching on you. It's kind of gross. Such a good game.
Greatest demo of all time.
It is. It is. 100%. That's it.
I wish we got that game. Hideo Kojima.
I know. I'm also playing Hunt Showdown, which I've talked about before, and
MGS.
Metal Gear Solid 5.
Yep.
The Phantom Pain.
It's a Phantom Pain. It's not there.
I'm getting really into Metal Gear Solid right now.
Did you get your Diamond Dog?
Yeah, I did already.
Little puppy? The goat?
But I'm really interested in the Metal Gear Solid Delta remake.
Yeah, I'm excited. I don't even play Metal Gear Solid, but that game looks awesome. I want to play that.
That game is a pure PS2 game, just with an obscene amount of graphical upgrades on top of it, and that's it. And I can't wait for that. I'm like, I'm going to play a PlayStation 2 game that looks better than all my PS5 games, although the environment is going to be like walk into this tree and then loading screen next area, loading screen next area.
And then the Snake Eater song plays and you're like, I'm back. I'm in.
There was also a good song in the very, very beginning when the place is burning down and Metal Gear Solid 5. There's a great song in that.
Kojima needs to do another horror game, by the way.
Oh, man.
Oh, wait, he's making one. I knew that.
Which one?
But the one with Jordan Peele. They showed it at Gamescom.
Yeah.
Or the Game Awards, I think. Yeah. And it's barely a trailer, but yeah. Same thing.
I'll believe it when I see it, but I like Kojima a lot.
I know. You know my opinions on Kojima.
Overrated. The guy, you give that guy a budget and he'll do anything. Hey, this budget only requires me to make a walking simulator.
Well, no, okay.
Okay, I'll make a walking simulator, but I'll make the greatest walking simulator package delivery game of all time. And it's not even close.
Great. You just named, how many other in that genre?
Paperboy.
Three things in that genre, maybe? He's really good, I think, in the same sense that, like, Aaron Sorkin's a really good writer.
Who's that?
He's the guy that wrote like Social Network and West Wing and The Newsroom and stuff, where Aaron Sorkin, great writer, but you have to have somebody that can kind of like keep him in check for me. And that's why I think like a lot of the Metal Gear games are really good, because they're like, maybe this is a little
whenever
too insane.
You're dealing with an auteur like Kojima, you better have someone pull on the reins against that guy. Or you're going to end up like Metal Gear Solid 5, where the game just costed Konami everything.
Or you get the one that you were just talking about. Whatever the name of it is. You know what I'm talking about? No. The one that he released. You know what I'm talking about?
Why can I talk?
I don't know the name of it either.
The walking simulator.
Yeah. Why don't we know the name of that game? There's a sequel coming. The most confusing trailer I've ever seen in my entire life.
I'm 40. I'm a man. Come after me. I can't remember things.
What I'm playing. Not a whole lot, to be honest with you. I am playing a new game. Aliens Fireteam. It came out about 3 years ago.
Everybody hated it.
Yeah, well, and I can kind of understand why, to be honest with you. I can imagine this game releasing in 2021 was very bare bones, but also a resurgence because of the new Alien movie, and everybody's kind of into the Alien stuff right now. It's pretty fun. Imagine World War Z, the video game, but you're playing, it's Alien. That's basically what this game is. We're going through the campaign, I guess, essentially is what they're calling it, but you're going from point A, which is the start of the mission, to point B, which is a horde section, and then point C to the last horde section, or point C, which is another horde section, and then point D, which is the last horde section, and then you escort out.
Horde after horde.
Pretty much.
Wave
That's
after
basically what it is.
It's like Left 4 Dead.
Yeah, kind of. But Left 4 Dead...
Left 4 Dead had a dynamic.
Better. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. It also feels better. Yeah. And this game's pretty solid. The things they do with the classes are pretty fun, pretty interesting. It kind of feels different each time you go in. But it is very Left 4 Dead World War Z, like where there's special aliens or whatever that can come after. They're like, I think they're literally called pouncers, which are just hunters or whatever. So I like it. It's a fun thing to play. It's three-person co-op, and it's kind of holding us over till like Space Marine 2, and then we're going to go nuts on that.
Space Marine 2 would have been games coming out next week or this week, but it'll be next week.
Which I'm hoping it's probably going to be a lot of the same.
Are you going to buy that before you buy Wukong?
Yes. Space Marines 2, I'm not kidding, might be my most anticipated game this year, other than Shadows, because I'm really excited for Assassin's Creed.
You mean so far? You were pretty excited for NCAA.
Yeah, true.
Or
Sorry.
college
Yeah,
football.
now my most anticipated game for the rest of the year.
I mean, my most anticipated games were College Football 25 and Hellblade 2.
Yeah.
And Hellblade 2 definitely didn't follow through with my
expectations.
Yeah. Completely. College Football, it almost exceeded them.
Yeah.
Even though I had them lower. Lot lower.
Yeah.
And then the game I forgot to mention, the game I'm playing, it's probably my favorite game of the year, Unicorn Overlord.
Okay.
Unicorn Overlord is my consistent game of the year, and I'm sticking with it. The game is so much fun. Turn-based strategy made by Atlas.
Atlas.
Yeah.
Those are the guys from Borderlands. They make guns.
Yeah.
All right, that's it, ladies and gentlemen. We're done. Thank you very much for tuning in. We had a fun little conversation there about
that was good. I thought we were going to be
30 frames and whatnot and everything else.
Yeah.
We got into work culture.
I blamed Bungie.
Yeah, true. You
something
did.
that Sony did. My bad.
Do you regret that now? Yeah. All right, so we'll be back next week. It's Labor Day weekend.
Oh.
This upcoming weekend. So
Really?
it might be a day late next week.
Oh, okay.
So we might record on like Wednesday and then get it out Thursday, something like that.
Let's just come in here on Monday and actually do some labor.
Let's. How about not? I'm going to take my Labor Day off. How about that?
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
See you guys next week. Thank you guys very much for tuning in. Remember, rate, follow, like, subscribe. The big 4. Rate and follow on the podcasting platforms. Like and subscribe on the YouTube channel.
And comment.
And comment
I
too.
like
5
talking to you
things.
guys.
Yeah, leave the comments. We love you guys. Appreciate it. We'll be back next week. Big 60. We're getting the Social Security benefits, AARP, and the checkout lane assistance.
right.
See you guys.
Peace.
Hey there, you on the screen. Do you think this world is really what it seems? Look around, everything's a little too clean. Just like pixels in a crazy dream. Every path you walk, every choice you fake, it's a code I wrote, make no mistake. You're in a maze, can't find the end, just a puppet on strings, my dear friend. Oh, you're in a simulation, can't you see? Stuck in a video game, oh, it's just me. You're in a simulation, oh, what fun. Watch out for glitches, 'cause you're not the one. Do you ever wonder why the sky's so blue? It's just a program, a code I threw. NPCs smiling, all just for you. But they don't know they're fake, they haven't a clue. Every step you take, every move you make, it's all part of the game, a little give and take. You're not in control, no, not at all. You're just a player in this virtual sprawl. Press start to continue, there's no escape. Caught in the web of this digital tape. You think you're free, but it's all a fake. A clever design, a coded landscape. Oh, you're in a simulation, can't you see? Stuck in a video game, oh, it's just me. You're in a simulation, oh, what fun. Watch out for glitches, 'cause you're not the one. So laugh it off, take it in stride. You're in a simulation, enjoy the ride. You're in a simulation, don't be shy. Just play along until the day you die. Oh, you're in a simulation, can't you see? Stuck in a video game, oh, it's just me. what fun. Watch out for glitches, 'cause you're not the one.